gladius Romae sum, Belisarius.
Throughout history, there are certain people whose stories go far beyond the time they lived in. Their lives continue to be told centuries later. Belisarius is one of those names. What makes him special is not just the battles he won, but the complexity of the world he lived in and how he managed to survive within it. Because the story of Belisarius is not just the rise of a soldier, but a life shaped by power, loyalty, and politics colliding with one another. Belisarius was born around the year 500 AD in the northwestern frontier of the Eastern Roman Empire, in what is now the Balkans. This region was far from the imperial capital of Constantinople, a place that was militarily important but socially underdeveloped. Because of this, very little is known about his early life. However, one thing is certain. Belisarius was not born into nobility. He had no inherited power or privilege. Everything that would set him apart had to come from his own ability. When he joined the army at a young age, most soldiers focused on proving their strength. Belisarius, however, chose to observe. He was not just learning how to fight, he was trying to understand war itself. He studied how enemies moved when armies broke under pressure and when a commander should advance or retreat. This mindset quickly set him apart from others. His superiors noticed that he was not an ordinary soldier, and this recognition marked the beginning of his rise toward the imperial court. At this point, the most important figure in his life entered the scene, Justinian I. Justinian was not an ordinary ruler. His ambition was enormous. He wanted to reclaim the lands that had been lost after the fall of the Western Roman Empire and restore Rome to its former glory. But such a vision required more than just a strong army. It required a brilliant commander. Belisarius became that man. He was not just someone who fought, but someone who thought, planned, and adapted. Belisarius's first major test came in the east, against the Sasanian Empire, one of Rome's oldest and most dangerous rivals. The wars against the Persians revealed his military intelligence for the first time. In 530 AD, at the Battle of Dara, Belisarius demonstrated what made him different. Despite being outnumbered, he controlled the battlefield with precision. He ordered trenches to be dug, positioned his troops carefully, and neutralized the enemy's strongest advantages. When the battle began, he did not rush into attack. He remained patient, drew the enemy in, and at the right moment launched a flanking strike that broke the Persian formation. This victory proved that Belisarius was not just a capable commander, but a master strategist. However, not every battle ends in victory. 1 year later, at the Battle of Callinicum, Belisarius faced a much more difficult situation. His army was exhausted, discipline had weakened, and morale was unstable. He initially planned to retreat, but the soldiers insisted on fighting. The battle was lost, but what stood out was not the defeat itself, but how Belisarius handled it. He did not panic. He organized a controlled retreat and prevented total collapse. This showed that he was not only a commander who could win, but also one who could manage failure. In 532 AD, one of the most critical events of his life took place. The Nika riots. Constantinople descended into chaos. Fires spread through the city, control was lost, and the rioters pushed toward the palace. Emperor Justinian I was on the verge of losing his throne, and it is said that he even considered fleeing. At this moment, Belisarius stepped in. When the rioters gathered in the hippodrome, the gates were closed. Belisarius and his troops entered and crushed the uprising. It was a brutal suppression with tens of thousands killed, yet it saved the empire. This event solidified Belisarius's position as the man who could restore order when everything was falling apart. After this, Justinian entrusted him with one of his greatest ambitions, the reconquest of North Africa. The region was under the control of the Vandals and represented a major loss for Rome. Belisarius set out with a relatively small force of around 15,000 men. Despite being outnumbered, he relied on speed, discipline, and timing. In 533 AD, at the Battle of Ad Decimum, he exploited the lack of coordination among the Vandals and defeated them in fragments. Shortly after, at Tricomarum, he delivered another decisive blow. Within months, North Africa was back under Roman control. This achievement elevated Belisarius to the status of the empire's greatest general. But success brought new problems. Belisarius was no longer just a hero. He was becoming a powerful figure, and throughout history, powerful generals often become threats to rulers. Justinian was aware of this. His trust in Belisarius began to compete with his fear of him. The next great campaign was in Italy, the heart of the old Roman world. Then, controlled by the Ostrogoths, Belisarius began with Sicily, moved quickly, captured Naples, and eventually entered Rome. The recapture of Rome carried immense symbolic importance. However, the victory was not secure. The Ostrogoths regrouped and laid siege to the city. The siege lasted for months. Hunger spread, resources dwindled, and the situation became desperate. Yet, Belisarius did not surrender. With a limited force, he defended the city, harassed the enemy, and bought time. Eventually, the Goths were forced to withdraw. This defense is considered one of the greatest siege defenses in military history. Despite all these achievements, Belisarius was never fully supported. Emperor Justinian withheld reinforcements and often recalled him before complete victory could be secured. This was no longer just about war. It was about balance of power. The more successful Belisarius became, the more dangerous he appeared to the emperor. In his later years, Belisarius gradually faded into the background. He continued to serve, continued to fight, but never regained his earlier level of authority. Court politics became more intense, and even his wife Antonina was involved in these intrigues. Belisarius, however, remained loyal. Throughout his life, he never rebelled against his emperor. There are many stories about his final years. Some claim that he was falsely accused, that his wealth was taken, and even that he was blinded. However, modern historians believe these accounts are exaggerated. What is certain is that Belisarius withdrew from public life and spent his final years in relative silence. He died in 565 AD, leaving behind a remarkable legacy. He was the man who reclaimed lost Roman lands, who saved the empire in moments of crisis, and who brought a new level of strategic thinking to warfare. Yet he was also a man who paid for his success with isolation. The story of Belisarius teaches us something important. Greatness does not always lead to a happy ending. Sometimes the greatest victories mark the beginning of the greatest loneliness. And sometimes, no matter how loyal a person is, the system they serve will eventually overshadow them. Belisarius, a man remembered not only for the battles he won, but for the life he lived. If this story made you think, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Belisarius truly won, or was he a genius lost within the system? Don't forget to like the video if you enjoy this kind of content, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. And share this video with anyone who might find it interesting, because there are many more stories waiting to be told.